TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom ve'erev tov, good evening. Welcome to our daily TV7 Israel News Bulletin, broadcast from Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu asserts that the IDF will not withdraw from Southern Lebanon, aimed at guaranteeing the security of Israel's northern residents. Lebanese Christian leaders call on the United States to push Iran out of Lebanon. And U.S. President Donald Trump warns Iran that its false statements threaten the negotiations in Switzerland. Israel will not abandon its northern communities regardless of attempts by Hezbollah in Lebanon and their masters in Iran to force Jerusalem's capitulation under Washington's pressure to secure a comprehensive deal with the Ayatollah regime in Iran. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met overnight with Defense Minister Israel Katz, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir, and Northern Command Commander Major General Rafi Milo to discuss how to proceed militarily in Lebanon.
My directive, and that of the Minister of Defense, to the IDF is clear and has not changed. Our fighters in southern Lebanon have full freedom of action to thwart any direct or developing threat to them or to the residents of the north. The IDF has no restrictions on this matter. I stand behind them. The entire nation stands behind them. My stance is firm on the IDF remaining in the security zone in southern Lebanon for as long as it is required in order to protect the residents of the north and all citizens of the state.
The statement by Prime Minister Netanyahu was made after U.S. Vice President Vance informed the governments of Lebanon and Israel, alongside other regional actors, that the Islamic Republic of Iran and the United States had reached a de-confliction mechanism to which Pakistan and Qatar, which have no relations and even maintain a hostile stance towards Israel, would contribute. And according to U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, who led the American negotiating team in Switzerland earlier this week, the mechanism would require of Israel to sometimes respond to Hezbollah's aggression with a conversation rather than defensive military measures.
I mean, look, we want a regional ceasefire, right? We want Hezbollah to stop firing at our friends in Israel. We want Israelis to be able to live in peace. We also want to make sure that, when things happen, they don't spiral into a broader escalation. And so we've been, I think, very good at setting up what we're calling a de-confliction mechanism. But what it really is to say that when things happen, the sides are actually talking to one another. Sometimes, you've got a bit of a chicken and egg problem, that you've got a junior guy who fires a drone that didn't have approval from the high command. Okay, of course, Israel has to respond to that. But then sometimes that response, we could actually have a better and more peaceful situation if Israel responds in the context of a conversation that's ongoing between Hezbollah, Lebanon, Israel, and other partners in the region. There really hasn't been a mechanism to have those discussions until basically around 4 p.m. yesterday, Bergenstock time, when we set that up. So what we're trying to do is to say, first of all, Israel and every other nation in the region has the right of self-defense, but we want to make sure that everybody has that right of self-defense in the background where we're talking about how to de-escalate these conflicts rather than spiraling out of control.
Vice President Vance continued by stressing that Washington's negotiations on a deal to include Lebanon was in response to the region desperately asking the United States to put it in place.
We were in constant contact with the Israelis yesterday, but also, of course, with the Saudis and the Emiratis and others in the region. We talked to the Lebanese yesterday as well, so we're constantly trying to keep our regional friends updated about this. This is not a deal that the United States is imposing on the region. This is a deal that the region has desperately asked the United States to put in place. Obviously, the headlines have been very focused about what's been going on between the United States and Iran, but this region has been a basket case for a very long time, and what the president has set us to do, again, lay the foundation, see if we can get to a permanent peace. If we can't, the President of the United States still has a lot of options to accomplish America's security objectives, but he has certainly committed us to this pathway for now, and we're going to keep on working and seeing what we can accomplish.
It is important to point out that efforts to force Israel to withdraw militarily from Lebanon constitutes an Iranian attempt to frustrate a joint Lebanese-Israeli commitment to disarm Tehran's proxy Hezbollah and thwart any prospects of peace between Jerusalem and Beirut.
The security and territorial integrity of Lebanon should be respected. The war against the Lebanese people should be stopped. There shouldn't be any new attack against Lebanon. And we believe that the termination of war and military operation in Lebanon includes the withdrawal of the Israeli forces from Lebanon territories and ending the occupation. We should warn Israel and give it a hint that if they are going to violate the MOU in any format, including by attacking Lebanon and Hezbollah in Lebanon, then Iran will respond. Iran definitely will respond.
It is further important to highlight that while Iran threatens Israel, it continues to instruct its proxies in Lebanon to cause friction in southern Lebanon with IDF troops. Consequently, earlier today, 4 Hezbollah terror operatives entered into Israel's security zone, riding a bulldozer and a motorcycle, among others, posing an immediate threat to IDF troops in the vicinity. In response, IDF troops conducted warning fire, and after the terror operatives failed to comply with the soldiers' calls, additional fire was conducted in order to remove the threat. According to the IDF spokesperson's unit, hits were identified. Meanwhile, in Lebanon, the leaders of the 3 largest Christian factions, which make up the largest Lebanese parliamentary bloc, have called on the United States to support, quote, the Lebanese state and its legitimate institutions as the sole national reference, confining any negotiation or approach to the Lebanese file, to the Lebanese state alone, and permanently removing Iran from the Lebanese file in a way that helps the Lebanese definitively reclaim their national decision-making and prevents any constitutional foreign intervention in their internal affairs. Regardless, according to Samy Gemayel, chairman of the Christian Lebanese Kataib Party, the Lebanese people will no longer accept living under Hezbollah's reign of terror.
No matter what happens abroad, no matter what, I swear to God that I don't know what happened with these negotiations. I assure you, we will not live under Hezbollah no matter the consequences of these negotiations. We won't be able to survive with those weapons, with this militia. Either they put themselves under state law like the others, or they commit to the state's conditions, and we deal with them on that basis. But we, as Lebanese, from all sects, Christians and Muslims, and I am not afraid of saying anyone's name, at least I can assure you what I hear, from Sunnis, Shias, Druze, and Christians, most people in Lebanon, they are not prepared to live under Hezbollah after this day.
It is important to point out that Vice President Vance responded to an open letter by the leader of the largest Christian parliamentary bloc and chairman of the party Lebanese Christian Forces, namely Samir Jaja, clarifying that the communications conducted by the U.S. administration with Iran concerning Lebanon are not aimed at granting Tehran any role in determining Lebanon's future or influencing its decisions, but rather at ensuring that it exerts pressure on Hezbollah to comply with the commitments and obligations incumbent upon it. Meanwhile, in Israel's northern communities, Israeli residents have voiced frustrations with the state of security, insisting that those who do not live under threat of Hezbollah's continued terror attacks cannot fully understand the predicament.
I don't know what to say about the quiet that everybody talks about. We don't feel it. I don't know if it's Hezbollah, I don't know if it's us, but we don't feel it in the area.
the Americans and the rest of the world doesn't know like how to live here. They're trying to force us and dictate us what we should do, but they are not here in the region, so they don't really know.
The ceasefire is fragile because, first of all, we are dealing with a terror organization. We're not dealing with the Lebanon country itself. So, to tell you the truth, I have no faith in them. So, ceasefire or not, we're still very alert and ready for anything.
Meanwhile, at the White House in Washington, D.C.,
earlier today, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said his forces are not leaving Lebanon. That is a sticking point in these conversations. He said it publicly in Israel today.
Well, we're going to take a look at it.
Well, what would you do to make sure that he doesn't
Well, I'm not
sabotage
going
the
to tell
deal?
you what I'm going to do, but it gets solved. I'm a problem solver. I get problems solved real fast, including with Bibi.
President Trump further addressed the successful aspects of the first round of negotiations to include a resumption of the International Atomic Energy Agency's inspections of Iran's nuclear program, albeit also an Iranian obligation under the Non-Proliferation Treaty to which it is a signatory. Moreover, the Strait of Hormuz, despite repeated Iranian threats, remains wide open.
We're doing very well with respect to the Hormuz Strait. We took in more oil yesterday than has ever gone through the strait. You probably see that. We have an oil gusher. The strait is totally open. You know that. And we're negotiating. We'll see how that all goes. But we have two things. We have an open strait, and we have a country that will never have a nuclear weapon. Will never, ever have a nuclear weapon.
It is important to point out that while President Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance highlighted that an agreement was reached on a resumption of IAEA inspections, Iran defiantly responded by claiming that no such understanding was reached.
We have not had a meeting with the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, nor do we have any plans for an agency inspection of Iran's nuclear facilities that were damaged as a result of the military attack by the United States and the Zionist regime. Basically, there is no procedure at all in this regard.
President Trump responded to Iran's claim by asserting that despite their protestations and false statements to the contrary, Iran has fully and completely agreed to highest-level nuclear inspections, and that if they did not agree to this, there would be no further negotiations. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please keep praying for the peace of Jerusalem and redemption of Israel. I'm Jonathan Essen wishing you an Erev Mevorach, and God willing, until our next update, Shalom from Jerusalem.